Yeah, so I think you got a copy of the, resolution, went to personnel, went to my committee.
I didn't give him copies of it.
Oh, you didn't give him a copy?
This is your thing.
Oh, you guys took that out of my hands a long time ago.
Wage rate stuff.
What's that?
I thought we were done with all the wage rate stuff.
Negative, the ambulance is not in your wage study, they took it out. You took it out, somebody took it out, I didn't take it out, somebody took it out. So, cause they were in there to start with, cause I did all the JDQs and all that baloney paperwork they required.
Nobody.
There was a
So-
separate resolution done last year to give them a 2% raise
Correct.
for 2023. So
For
they got a
last
raise-
year.
They got a raise on 1/1 of 23.
Mm-hmm.
So what item,
And-
number five?
Six.
Number 6, so that's the way for the ambulance and first responders, that their wages now come about is by resolution. So I put a resolution together per my committee, it's $1 an hour, for both the EMTs and EMRs by the hour, when they're working by the hour, and 30 or 25 cents an hour on call, when they're on call.
What's the current rate?
It's on the resolution, right
There's
now, the
16.30.
EMTs are getting 16.32.
I believe so.
And the first responders are getting 13.26. If you go work third shift at Quick Trip, you get 17.50. And Walmart's paying up to $20 for new hires.
So
down
the
here.
extra dollar bring you to 1732,
Correct.
and then the 20, I'm guessing the 25 is for the first responders then?
No, the 25 cents is the per hour for being on call.
Oh, for
So that's not that's not the full-time truck, that's the other trucks. So if you're sitting at home waiting for an ambulance calling Bruce, you get $3 currently an hour during the week. Let's see, it's right, $3.50 on the weekend and $4.50, I believe it is on a holiday. That sounds right, yep. So that's giving them 25 cents more an hour when they're on call.
See if I can bring it out.
What's the total impact gonna be for a year?
38,059, I believe is what Jamie scribbled on there for me.
For the increase?
Yes, for all the increases, that's meetings, trainings, there was also an upgrade in training pay. Cause the trainings are flat rate, not hourly. So they get so much for certain trainings, so that trainings and meetings, so that was a, increase in that too.
I don't think that's in our jurisdiction.
What's that?
Wage rates.
No, it's gotta go to the county board,
Budget.
it's gotta go to the county board,
Has this gone through personnel, did you say too?
yes.
It went through the emergency services and then
It went personnel first, then emergency services, just the way they lined up, but personnel sent it back, of course, to mine to get approved, and they approved it, and now it's, my understanding is it goes to you guys to get forwarded then to the county board, or maybe you don't have to look at it, I don't know.
Have to go back to personnel to put a stamp on
What do we do with it?
If personnel sent it back.
Personnel stamps it first, and then we just.
They,
send it out.
they
We send
basically
it out,
stamped
and
it
it's
as
oversight.
pending approval
Of
of
the
emergency.
emergency
Nobody's
services,
oversight.
yes. And they approved it,
So he didn't have to come back.
yeah.
So where were
So
you?
is it anything in your budget to cover this?
It would get added to my budget, or I'll take it out of a different line and use, for instance, I can take it out of my, ambulance equipment line. And there's some rollover money that if we have to buy an ambulance next year, we can put that in there. And so it doesn't change the end dollars.
Yeah, this doesn't
Can
take,
not change.
this doesn't take place till January 24.
Right, in January. So budget time, so it would go into my budget.
Alright.
Yep, so not only does the county board have to approve the resolution, they then have to approve the budget.
I have it, do you wanna see it?
Well, why are we approving this now? I mean.
We're approving it for
we're
next
doing-
year's budget.
I know, but our new budget's gonna be for 24. We're gonna start working on everybody.
Right, but don't
Why is
you,
this separate?
Because it's a wage increase and it's not part of the plan, it has to be a resolution before board, right? The
Yeah.
board. So in order to do that, he's trying to take the proper channels and get all the committees to stamp their approval on
But fundamentally, all we're doing is forwarding to the county board.
it. Yeah, pretty much.
Because we asked people to bring their wage increases, or at
Here.
least I grumbled about it last couple of years, bring their wage increases in sooner so that we can put them into the budget, and we're not trying to add it to the budget after we've already went through budgets for 2024.
How
Remember
many,
that?
so when Tom does his budget for 24, why don't we just add that in?
And he is.
I
He's
wasn't,
going to, but we have to approve the raise first.
Yeah.
It's
So
on
that's the
the county
resolution.
board.
because it's not part of the wage study, you have that now, and you can just approve the raise as part of the budget. Mine has to have a resolution, and then the county board approval.
Where do you at for capacity for EMTs right now?
What
Like,
am I at, how many do I have?
yeah, like how many do you have compared to how many you're allowed to have on staff?
I'm allowed an unlimited number,
Okay.
that's part-time. I have 8 full-time right now. We just did interviews this morning and I have approval to hire, I have 1 opening and possibly gonna have 2 if the sheriff's department hires one of my people away. And I have permission to hire 2 of them that we interviewed this morning. So that's 8 full-time is what my,
Full-time.
and actually, the county board has approved 9, but I've only had 8 since we
How many
started.
part-timers do you got?
Oh, God, 20 some, and it varies between them taking 6 hours a month and 600 hours a month, so that really varies.
Where are you at compared to like, previous years now with the tougher hiring market? Has it been harder to retain?
Yeah, it's hard,
It-
we've always
it
known that we're a
costs some.
training facility, you know, so people come here, they get some hours in, and then they go on to paramedic school, and then they're gone. The one I
That's
lost,
pretty good for that.
the one I lost finished her nursing school, she got her nursing license, now she works out here at the hospital. The other one's probably gonna leave to the sheriff's department, cause they pay $7, $8 more an hour. Well, I can't hold that against them, you know, you gotta go where the, you know, where they can make a living, so. So we lose them for a variety of reasons, but, and there's not a lot of people with this type of, license moving into the county. You know, the 2 I
That's
possibly
why-
gonna hire both live outside the county.
That's why you kinda gotta get the ones that you, hopefully, if you train them in.
If I can keep them around,
If
yeah.
you keep them around.
I gotta compete with the people around us, and they're all paying more right now. So, and that, you know, it's like the sheriff's department. They come to work here at the sheriff's department, get some knowledge, and then as soon as Barron County has an opening, they'll go over there, and unless your sheriff's department pays more, they're not coming back. You know, and the people jump around this, and they don't stay like they used to. The ones that are planted here do. So I really like hiring people that have roots here. One of them that I told you lives outside the county that we interviewed this morning, lives in Winter, but her family is here. So she's not going too far. The other one lives in Rice Lake, you know, so outside of Rice Lake, but she likes to drive out through the Blue Hills. She just raved about that this morning. She likes that. She likes Rusk County. She wants to be here. So, yeah, it's getting harder to get people. It really is. And this, you know, you have somebody move on, so I take somebody else. These 2 were both already working for us part-time and filling full-time shifts. Now they go into the full-time, now I'm gonna find somebody new to fill part-time and full-time shifts. You know, so sometimes I have to pull somebody from Bruce, from Sheldon, somewhere to fill those shifts, and then they put less time in their home squad. So yeah, it's, yeah. I would say right now we have just as many people that are active that have been here for the last 10 years, but they take a different amount of time. You know, they used to take $100 a month, now they take 10, you know? And it's not because of what we're doing, it's because they don't have the time. Or, you know, if you're gonna pay them $3 an hour to sit home and be ready to go on a call, or they can go down to the park tonight and have a beer at Mardi Gras, they're probably going to the park and having a beer. And, because that $3 doesn't mean nothing. So, you know, that's another thing, you gotta pay them enough so that keeps their interest.
How long is a typical on-call show? Like, do they sign up for 8 hours on call at a time, or?
As many as they'll take.
Or do
Yeah,
they
some
sign
squads
up-
do it 6 hours at a time, some do it 12, some do it 24. I mean, some people. So I got a couple that'll wait till everybody else has had a chance, and then they just fill all the holes. So Amanda Nicholson in Sheldon, she lets everybody else sign up, and when they're done, she'll take the rest of the month.
You need to keep her happy.
Oh boy, I guess.
Well, I think what we need here is a motion to acknowledge the ambulance wage resolution and forward it to the county board for approval.
So move.
Motion by Jim, second by Tony. Any other discussion? If not, all
Read the
those in
dollar
favor?
amounts though, if you would please, just to get it in here. You had it up, Deb, or no? You're gonna put it up?
It's 38,000 altogether.
And this year coming out of the equipment fund though, right? And then to be budgeted for next year?
It won't be till next
So it
year.
won't be until.
Yeah, it'll start 1 of 24.
Oh,
Yeah,
It doesn't start till 20.
it starts at
so it'll be in my budget for 24.
Okay, okay.
How do I get this
Okay, on the resolution, or on the motion rather, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed say no. That motion carries.
All right, thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
Have a great
I
night.
saw it before.
It's right there. I can't do it.
two items done so far. Presentation. It's already been 2 hours.
Back up to anything else that we have to get out here now. Number 2 is consideration of additional highway worker 1.
So I think Ashley will cover that one, so if we wait till she comes back, wait till Ashley comes back.
Okay.
So let's do, can we do 5, number 5?
Number 3.
Which one do you want?
5, cause Ashley's got 2, 3.
Personnel proposed 24 general employee wage increase.
So at the last personnel meeting, they approved forwarding to finance, the wage increase. So at some point in time, that whole wage scale will need to be increased for, to stay competitive with market. And so we're thinking that, we can look at doing that for 2025 budget purposes, but for 2024, we kind of need to get people moved from, there's a lot of people that are at step 1 of the scale, they need to get moved up. So that we're not, we don't have new people starting that are making the same amount as people that have been here a while. So we need to, that's part of the growing pains of implementing this wage studies, we have to, progress people through the scale. So what, the personnel committee had forwarded was bumping employees up 2 steps on the scale.
Every employee?
Yes,
No, up to 2 steps. We kind of were leaving it up to personnel or finance. The way I remember it being worded was up to 2 steps, I thought. Wasn't that the way it worded at personnel?
Wouldn't that be a performance?
So we left it as
based?
finance to do 1 step or 2 step. I thought that's the way.
But
maybe
that's just
it could be
indiscriminately,
recorded that way.
not based on performance, that's just everybody gets bumped up and stuff?
correct. Performance-based increases don't really work in government.
So what's the impact?
We discussed that.
Budget-wise?
So 2 steps would be, well, okay, there's 2 parts of this. Next, in 2024, there are 2 additional working days compared to 2023 because it's a leap year and January 1st is on a Monday. So we're going to, if wages remain the same as they are right now, we would have a $77,000 increase just because of those 2 extra working days for the general employees that are covered under the wage study. So, the cost of moving everybody up 2 steps, the people on the wage scale, would be $258,822 with WRS included. WRS is going up 0.1% for 2024 as well, so that's included.
258.
$258,822.62.
So is it safe to say 1 step's gonna be 129,000?
Just tell you right now. $167,405.18.
What was that again, Jamie, sorry?
So 1 step, would be $167,405.18. Again,
57 or 67?
67.
167. The other one's 258.
Yeah, so it's about a $90,000 increase for 1 step.
How come it's not half?
And so,
Well, because, it's a 1.25% between each step, but then it compounds. So really, if you move people up 2 steps, it's a little over a 2.5% increase. And it is, like if we take out the extra day, or the extra 2 days in 2024, the increase over what we would have otherwise is 180,000. Does that make sense?
The 2 step would've been 180 instead of 258, is that what you're saying? Or did I lose you here?
So if we take out the $77,000 increase that we have to put into the 2024 budget because there's 2 extra working days, then it's 90,000 versus 181,000.
so the 2 steps would be 258 what?
258,822.62, which, includes the 2 extra working days in 2024. So it's when we're comparing, annual payroll cost of 2023 versus annual payroll cost of 2024. Again, this is only for general employees covered under the wage study. So this does not include the sheriff's department employees under union contract, it does not include the ambulance employees.
How come they don't consider, I think that,
performance-based wage increases work in government?
Because we have a limited pot of money and performance-based increases, because we are a public entity, everybody would know whatever increase everybody else gets, so departments heads would.
Then you
Break all
work
of that.
harder saying, hey, she got this and she's busting her butt. She saved her, department $100,000 and they bumped her up a step. Maybe they'd be like, hey, we should all do that.
But then you can't afford to pay everyone.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna do a step anyways, but if we only do a step for those that, we figure earned it.
It was not really recommended by Carlson, Detman, and Ashley has been in contact with other counties, and, it has not been a real effective measure.
Well, we just listened to that, counties borrow money, they obviously ain't doing something right. Government.
My understanding was when she explained it, that it turned into a lot of issues within.
Negative environment after the
You
fact.
had a extremely negative environment over people getting, I mean, let's be honest, there was enough, just when we implemented this alone.
And again, this is not our decision here either, there's gotta be another resolution going to the board then?
Right,
Or is that gonna be just to put it in the budget?
you have to put it in the budget, and, I mean, the resolution wouldn't go to the board till, this fall for the increase, but, as far, employees are wanting to know how they're going to progress through the grid for, wage increases. And another reason why I push for 2 steps rather than 1 is because 1 step only gives a 1.25% increase. Then next year, if we look at adjusting the scale, we're gonna have to move that whole scale up, say 1%. Well, if we move it up 1% and people don't move up a step, then we're still gonna have the problem of everybody being congested at the bottom of that scale. And so then when we hire new people, they're going to be starting at the same wage as people that have been here forever. There's gonna be very few people in the middle to the top of the scale, and ideally, we want people closer to the middle of the scale.
Well, my big concern is how do we know if we can afford it if we haven't done the budgets yet?
Well, that's my.
I mean, I was one of them that made the motion to forward it on to finance, but I also said,
Then you forgot you're on
I may
finance.
change my whole mind on this after I see all the budgets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna approve that,
We don't have,
so up to the board to approve that.
we don't have a clue how it's gonna wash out yet.
So maybe we keep this for consideration during the
Well, I
budget
think what
process
you
to see
want-
what we have for leftover
We
money.
want the employees
How much we wanna
to
do.
figure that increase in their
Well,
budget.
and for the, the employees that are funded by levy, it's not such a big deal for budget purposes, but when we have budgets that are funded by grants, they need to know what they need to build into their grant budget for wages.
Before we do the budgets, they
Well,
gotta,
as they prepare the budget, so they know, that, hey, we need to request more on this grant, we need to cut here, we need to cut there.
so by the time we're done with the budgeting process, they need to know, 'cause that's when.
Or, well, some of them need to know now, there's grants applications that are due for 2024 now.
But you don't know what grants are gonna be approved, what aren't, so
Right.
there's,
I guess, we can approve the raise, and if we don't have the money at the end of the year, then we're looking at cutting a position somewhere. Something's gonna have to give somewhere.
yeah, right?
I mean, that is the double-edged sword we're playing with.
So most other counties that I talked to on Monday are giving anywhere from a 2 to a 4% wage increase. Barron County is giving a 4% increase. Ken, I forget what county he's with, they are, doing a COLA to their scale, a 2% COLA, I believe, and then everyone will go up an additional step after the COLA has been applied. So 2 to 4 seems reasonable with surrounding counties.
What was our average? I know last year was kind of a mess getting everybody on the scale. Do we know what our average percentage was there? Or is there a way to even know for an increase wise? But I don't know if we can even take that into consideration really, because I think in a lot of cases, we were way behind other counties.
Right,
When we
that's,
implemented this.
yeah, because it took us, for a lot of positions, we had to give such a big increase to just get to a 25-50 percentile market rate. We're not even at the 50th percentile with the wage study that we chose to do.
Yeah, if I recall, we didn't even go the full step of what they recommended.
That is correct, we cut the steps in half, I believe. They were proposing 2.5% steps and we went to 1.25%.
Yes, you're right. Because we didn't feel we could maybe afford the whole thing.
Correct. And to Jamie's point, we do have compression at the beginning of the scale. And that has been something that has come up in certain departments. So, you know, so-and-so who's been here for 12 years was so far behind in their rate of pay that they went to a step 1. Well, their counterpart quit and we just hired someone new, brand new, and they're also at step 1. So thinking about it from an HR standpoint and recruitment and retention is also important because just, I mean, put yourself in their shoes. I've been here for 12 years and the kid I'm training in is making as much as I am.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts so far, Jamie? Do you think we can afford this? Have you looked it over?
I think we need to,
Well, I'm not gonna argue with you with that, I need to, can we?
well, and we have, so we, you know, obviously have the, you know, we have to fit that, $450,000 into our budget that we had in contingency last year, but we do have additional shared revenue coming in 2024. Our shared revenue went up $775,000
Yes.
for 2024.
That's the document I forwarded out to all of you.
We're supposed to read that when you send it to us?
Yes, and I told you if you Control F and type in Rusk, it'll bring you right to it, cause it's like an 80-page document.
I delete your email. I delete your email.
Hey, that was a good news email. Should I have been more specific about it needs more money?
It needs to start with mine.
Oh, yeah. It's on here.
Yeah, all the towns, towns and
All the
everybody's
municipalities.
getting an increase, so.
Yep.
And I know that 2 years now, I don't know. if
Yeah,
that's
so I
not-
watched a webinar on it yesterday, and so I was like, what happens after that 2 years? 2025 is just the full implementation, and then after that, it will just continue, and it's based on sales tax, so the idea is that it will increase with COLA. You know, as the price of goods goes up, so will the sales tax, so will our shared revenue. So, the average increase with the implementation of the wage study was 8.93%, but again, that's kind of, it's hard to look at that because some people got 30% increases just to get onto step 1 of that scale.
Well, before,
So if I got a 30% raise last year, and then somebody comes in new and they start out as high as me, I'm still not gonna be mad that I just got a 30% raise.
Yeah, some are. Yeah.
My, Jill's
You would think
position is
so, but-
behind. I brought that up last year. And that was averaging about 6 or 7 counties, including us.
My boss gave me a 30% raise, and the next year, he didn't give me the step 2, I probably won't complain.
I won't complain if you leave me on step 1, Phil.
do we have anybody that's off the chart?
Yes.
I believe 2 staff members are red circled right now.
Which way off the chart? Up or down?
They're
And
above.
Nobody can be off it on the bottom anymore.
Correct.
Or else we-
Yeah,
So those are red circled?
yes, so they would not get an increase for 2024. In 2025, if we adjust the scale for COLA, then they would get that part of the increase.
Okay.
But again, if we only move one step this year to keep, you know, if we try to keep wages consistent, we're not going to be able to really move people up a step and adjust for COLA if we only did 1 step this year for 2024.
The problem is right now, without going through the budget, to Jim's point, you know, we really don't know what we have for money left to do it until we go through the budget, but then you're saying we kinda have to do it now so that the people doing the grants can figure out what they need to budget.
I mean, and we can tell people that, hey, this is what we're looking at, but, until, cause I think typically we have brought that same resolution for wage increases along with the budget approval to county boards, so, if you make that recommendation contingent upon, budget approval, that's what we could tell employees.
Yeah, I remember 2 years ago, before we were doing the wage study, finance brought it to the county board that time and just did a percentage flat across.
So now, when they're, when the employees are doing their budget, are they going to do the increase, or is that gonna come
It's gonna be
as a
budgeted
lump sum?
in contingency like we have in the past, that is how a lot of other counties practice that as well, because the idea is that, departments need to be working on their budgets before that amount is officially determined. And so you budget for the amount in contingency, and most of the time, your departments will find a way to still stay within their budget without actually having to do a contingency transfer, because we really only have to do budget amendments as well if you're in excess of 10% of what your budgeted expenditures are. So we may or may not have to move that full amount of contingency, especially since we budget for the full amount in contingency, but a lot of it is recoverable through grants, specifically in health and human services and land conservation, and other budgets there.
So I'm not sure just how we address number 5 as far as a resolution. Do we approve it, or do we acknowledge it? And I know what you're getting at, but I'm not sure that we have the authority to approve an increase.
You could, the committee could sponsor the resolution.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. If we forward it to county board, it's gotta be county board final approval no matter what. We can vote it through, but if county board don't pass it, it don't go, right? I mean, that's my understanding of it.
Right, and I don't have a resolution written at this point either, it's just, we kind of wanted
There's nothing
to.
there that we're really,
Why don't we
know what we're doing.
just forward it to the county board, however she drafts it.
So we'll put that into our budgets, now we will communicate that to departments and,
Well, how much are you communicating that we're gonna do 1%?
the 2 steps.
2 steps. Well, we don't know
Put in
that,
the-
we're gonna let the
Well,
budget.
put in the resolution 1 or 2 steps. County board might decide they don't want 2 steps, they'll approve 1 step, you just don't know.
If we need an answer now, I'd say start with 1 step, but if we, find extra money in the budgets, we can go 2 step.
Put that all together, the cost for each way.
We wouldn't bring this to the board until August though, right?
Well, and really September.
Tell all the budget heads if they can keep their budgets down.
We can't call that chickens, well, that's actually, we ain't seen any money yet, have we?
If you tell all the budget heads when they're doing their budgets, if they keep their budgets down, maybe we can do a 2 step.
Okay, do you think the state's gonna let me not do an election?
You got 4 next year, don't you?
Yeah.
So Randy, are you okay if we just bring this back next month for further discussion?
Sure.
Okay.
We're gonna table it, or how do you call it? Postpone it?
I think so, cause there doesn't seem to be a consensus.
Yeah, I think, I would approve an increase, but, I don't think I have that authority to do that. But a resolution to the board or something to that effect.
Okay, we'll bring something back.
I think we can go back to 2 now, I haven't